best real estate deal that I've gone through. There's not a question. I know it. And it wasn't a $5 million or $2 million transaction. It was an $82,000 house sale. I've done some work with some of the less fortunate, some of the homeless people around the Charlotte area, and used to meet with them on a regular basis. And a guy came into one of our meetings one time. He was brand new to that. And he came in, he had long hair, dreads, he was tatted up, and he sat down and during the middle of the meeting, got into a confrontation with one of the other guys in there. And against my better judgment, I got in between that confrontation and sat Gary down and kind of talked about, that's not what we do here. We kind of meet and try to talk and work through, problems and situations. And he's a scary dude, but he quickly apologized and explained to me that he had just gotten out of prison, 12 years in prison for stabbing someone. Let's go ahead and get it all out there. And that's how you solve conflict in prison. And he had to learn that since he was out of prison, that's not how you solve conflict. And Gary came back, and eventually Gary and I got to be pretty good friends. Gary lived under a bridge in uptown Charlotte, right beside the bus station. And one day, Gary came up and said that someone had come by and cleaned up all of his stuff under the bridge, got his sleeping bag and pillows and all of his socks and his clothes, what he had. And Gary was an artist. He drew, he sketched with a pencil, colored pencils. They were excellent. I have a couple he's given me. But they took all of his stuff, and that made me kind of angry. And I came home that night. We were eating dinner, and I was telling the kids about what happened, because they would come with me every once in a while. They knew some of those guys, and they said, "Well, can we go get some of the stuff? Can we go buy some of the stuff and take it to Gary?" I was like, "It's a great idea." So we did. We went shopping, got a big box of stuff, and took it to Gary. And we went to find him, driving around uptown. I know where to find most of those guys. And we found Gary, and he got in the car, and we drove back to his bridge so that we could give him his stuff. And he took my kids under the bridge and sat them down where he sleeps and explained to them that this is where I sleep. This is my home. And it was dark, and it smelled of urine, and it was cold. But then he went on to explain to them why he lived under that bridge, because he didn't think that growing up, he didn't think rules applied to him. He thought he could do whatever he wanted to, and thought he had the right to do whatever he wanted to. And it was very impactful on those kids. But Gary ended up getting a job and worked really hard, and he got promoted. Another year or two later, Gary got another promotion and was making a good bit of money. And I hooked him up with a lender. We got to talking about it. He had gotten into a rental house and had paid his rent for 2 years solid. And I hooked him up with a lender, like I said. And we got Gary qualified and went and bought a house. We got a contract on a house. And at closing, when I was able to hand this guy the keys, this big, scary, tattoos on his face guy broke down and explained that he was the first person in his family to ever buy a house. Big grown man with tears coming out of his eyes, or tears coming out of my eyes. And that was the best experience I've ever had.